Hi everyone, hey, Bonnie Lee here from Enchanted Getaways. Thanks for taking the time to view the PowerPoint presentation we have here that we put together specifically for couples who are planning or looking to plan a honeymoon or a destination wedding. There's a picture of myself, Bonnie Lee. In case you were to meet me on the street, you might recognize me. Probably not, but just in case, we thought we'd throw a photo in here of myself so you can see what I actually do look like. What this presentation is about, it's basically the same conversation that I have in my office or over the phone with my clients. How I get to know them in order for me to make recommendations for what I believe are going to be some of the best resorts that they can choose from for the destination wedding honeymoon that they have in mind. So, here are 5 questions that I use to get people to start to think. Where do you want to go? That opens up the whole world, and that's really and truly what you want to think about. Is there a country that you would like to go, or maybe even just the name of a specific resort that you're thinking of? What do you want to do when you're on your honeymoon? Are you busy or are you not busy? Are you a pool person? Are you a ocean person? What type of people are you? So that's some of the questions I'm going to ask to get to know about what you want to do. Who do you want to be around? Now this is more related to adult only or family friendly. As you think of yourself in the resort, who's actually around you and what are you looking for in the people who are also staying at the resort that you will be at? How long do you want to go? This is kind of an important question, and as we get farther into the presentation, you'll understand it more from a perspective of travel time versus travel time, which is two same words, but how much time do you have to travel to be gone, and how much travel time will it take for you to get from your home base to the resort? And the last question is kind of the question that makes people more often than not feel a little bit of uncomfortableness when they're talking to basically anybody, let alone someone who's planning travel. But the reason that I ask, how much do you plan to spend, or what is your budget, is because as a couple, I truly believe you should have a budget. It doesn't mean that I will recommend spending all of it or I will be able to meet it, but it helps me to understand from a realistic perspective the amount of money that the two of you have chatted about that you want to invest in your destination wedding or within your honeymoon. So though it sometimes is an uncomfortable question, it's a very important question for the couple to talk about in order for all of the other questions to be able to be answered realistically. So, next question I get very often is actually, what are the most popular destinations that brides and grooms choose, whether it be for the wedding or for the honeymoon? Mexico, my gosh, Mexico has everything to offer. You got the Pacific side, you have the Caribbean side. So much to offer in Mexico, so much value, range of resorts. I think probably greater than you're going to find just about anywhere else that honeymooners might discuss talking to. So definitely Mexico is a destination that is one of our most popular. The next is the Caribbean. There are, again, think of the Caribbean islands. So many Caribbean islands. The Caribbean is huge. It's a very, very large area and has so many different things for people to choose from. So again, one of our more popular destinations that romance couples actually look for. Hawaii, oh my gosh, of course Hawaii. It's kind of that destination that sits in people's minds from way back when, from their childhood, when they've seen a luau all the way into our adulthood. And Hawaii says romance as well, so that is definitely a destination that couples consider. And Europe has so many different things to offer. So Europe, again, a destination. So I'm going to cover these in my presentation just to give you some quick ideas. Now remember, or I haven't even said it yet, so now I can say, after this I can say, remember, this is just a real broad view of how to plan. We will be putting out more videos and PowerPoint presentations that will narrow down more about Mexico, for instance, about the cities in Mexico, more about the Caribbean. So today is really general, but it's going to give you a really good takeaway, I believe, to begin your planning process. So what I would really like to talk to you about now is the Pacific side of Mexico, which entails your Los Cabos, your Puerto Vallarta, and your Huatulco. So let's first talk about Los Cabos. The thing about Los Cabos that some people know, some people don't, but I think is a very, very important thing to know is that it is at the end of the Baja Peninsula. It is between the, or it is the joining point, I should say, for right here we have the Pacific Ocean, and over here we have the Sea of Cortez. So here we have Los Cabos. Many years ago, I actually had a client who said, hey, I really want to go to Los Cabos. And I was like, well, you know, what do you really like about Los Cabos? What are you thinking? Oh my gosh, I absolutely love those long, beautiful beaches, and I love to swim in the ocean. So right there in my conversation with them, I was able to chat with them a bit about that water that sits at the end of the Baja Peninsula. So you have the Sea of Cortez, which Jacques Cousteau says is the aquarium of the world because there are so many species of animals that live there that you can just really truly enjoy all of those things. And it's the Sea of Cortez, and on the other side, of course, you've got the Pacific Ocean, and they meet right where Los Cabos is, which means very, very turbulent water, many, many unsafe beaches, which is an important thing to remember about Los Cabos. It's also actually very desert. What does that mean? That means, hey, we're not going to have a lot of rain because it's desert. It also means low humidity for those times of the year. Say, for instance, if you're traveling in July. July can be very humid in the other parts of Mexico. It can be very humid in the Caribbean. But if you choose a desert-type location like Los Cabos, you're going to have minimal rain, and you're also going to have low humidity. So from that perspective, this destination could be the perfect choice depending on the person. Now, because I'm telling you that it's arid, does that mean that you're not going to have that wonderful vegetation that you're thinking of? Maybe palm trees and the bougainvilleas and all of those beautiful flowers that we think about when we maybe picture Mexico in our minds? Absolutely not. It doesn't mean that at all. The resorts have brought in all of that beautiful vegetation. So within the resort environment, you're going to feel like you're in the tropics because you have the warmth and you have the vegetation, but the weather will dictate a little bit more of the feeling of that it is very desert-like. It's very arid and it's dry. So Los Cabos kind of gives you the best of a couple of worlds. All of the warmth without the humidity. Maybe a little bit of a sacrifice on the swimming beach. Not good, not bad, but again, just from a perspective of making a really good choice on the destination, those are kind of some important facts I think that you'll probably want to consider. Next, I'd like to take you down to Puerto Vallarta. Oh my gosh, the thing about Puerto Vallarta is it sits on this beautiful Bay of Banderas. The Bay of Banderas is one of the third largest natural bays in the world. It is a beautiful bay, which means the waters are very calm in front of your resorts. It also happens to have right behind it the Sierra Madre Mountains. So as you're on the beach looking out at the beautiful Bay of Banderas, directly behind you, you have those Sierra Madre Mountains just spilling right into the ocean, which means lots and lots of different opportunities for you to do things within those mountains. Some great zip lining and maybe some jungle tours up there. But you also have the bay in front of you. So for people who want to do that whale watching, maybe some deep sea fishing, Puerto Vallarta is a fabulous destination. During the, let's see, I would say early winter, that would be early winter, early spring or late spring, you're also going to be finding all of the migrating sea life. Your whales, your turtles, all of those things are going up and down the Pacific, call it the Pacific Highway if you would like. So there's an opportunity, depending on the time of year you're choosing, maybe to do some really great whale watching when you're in the area of Puerto Vallarta. Also, the city of Puerto Vallarta, the downtown city, is very old world Mexico. Cobblestone streets. It's got a beautiful malecon, and the malecon basically is the walkway along the sea. Incredibly beautiful sculptures all along the malecon, and most of those sculptures reflect something of the sea. Maybe it's dolphins, whales, a mermaid, but a wonderful area to go in to actually enjoy the art of the city of Puerto Vallarta. Many people from the United States in the 60s actually went to Puerto Vallarta. We have maybe the hippies, whatever you want to call them, but I think a lot of them stayed there. The city is very eclectic. It's old world. It's shrimp on the beach, and the restaurants open right up to the ocean, so you can have maybe that cold cerveza very easily sitting right in the middle of the city, enjoying some of the fresh food that comes directly from the sea in front of you, and watching the sunsets that are fabulous. Because think of it, Puerto Vallarta sits right there and it looks west. It's looking straight away out to Hawaii. The sunsets on that bay are phenomenal. As you choose certain resorts, depending on how the resort faces, you are guaranteed a beautiful sunset every single night, as long as Mother Nature cooperates in the weather that she's delivering. But think about Puerto Vallarta for old world. Think about the bay. Think about the Sierra Madre Mountains. Think about those things, and that's what I think encapsulates the beauty, encapsulates the beauty of Puerto Vallarta. I love that particular city. Now we're going to go farther south to Huatulco. And you're probably saying to yourself, gosh, aren't there other cities along the Pacific side here? Certainly there are. You have Mazatlan, you have Acapulco, lots and lots of cities. I'm just highlighting three of them, one at the top, one in the middle, and one towards the southernmost edge, which is Huatulco. Huatulco is more of an upcoming city. There's a couple of really great all-inclusives there. There's a Secrets, a Dreams, and a Barcelo down there. The thing that Huatulco has to offer is that it's very, very old world Mexico. You're not going to find tons and tons of things to do here because it's not a huge, how can I say it, not a huge tourist attraction. People really go to Huatulco to kick back and enjoy the resorts. It's also very close to, it's in the province, I think, or the state they would call it, of Oaxaca, which is known for its chocolate. So you can take a day trip and go out and watch how they make that fabulous chocolate that is found in Huatulco. A nice selling point for Huatulco is actually its location. See how far south it is there? Directly across to the right of Huatulco, look, you're talking about Guatemala, Belize, Honduras. So you know that you are much farther south than, say, Cancun or your Puerto Vallarta, which means if you're traveling in January, and Mexico, not that it's chilly in January. I'm from Minnesota, so believe me, that's not what you're going to find down there. The 80s is not chilly by any sense of the imagination in January, but maybe if you're looking for some really warmer weather than you maybe are going to find in Puerto Vallarta or Cancun, and it's January, Huatulco can be a really great option. It's got the resorts, it's got flights out of most of the major cities in the United States, and it also has the farther southern point of where I would say you could probably find the resorts that you're looking for. So on the Pacific side, we've got Los Cabos, we have got Puerto Vallarta, and we have Huatulco. Another thing to keep in mind for this side of Mexico is the color of the water. It's not that turquoise water that you find over on the other side of Mexico and in the Caribbean islands. This side of Mexico, it's more like a deep sapphire, a dark navy blue. Still as beautiful and sparkling when the sun hits it, but definitely a different color. So keep that in mind when you're on this side of Mexico. Great cities, really great opportunity for diversity in the things that you want to do. The most important thing in my mind when I'm talking to a couple is the color of the water, so that when you get there you are not disappointed that the color of the water is not the turquoise. You're going to be talking dark navy blue. So now we're going to move from this side of Mexico. We're going to go over to the Caribbean side of Mexico, where of course you will find that turquoise water, which is just so incredibly beautiful. And it's the things that the photo that you see, the palm tree on the beach, typically that turquoise water in the back was taken somewhere within the Caribbean Sea here. That's why a lot of people from different parts of the world actually come to this part of the world, the Caribbean, just for the color of the water that you're actually going to find here. So the first place we'll talk about is Cancun, and I'll talk about Cancun proper. Cancun itself is in the shape of a 7. It's what would you call it? I think it's a peninsula probably, and it sticks out into the ocean. So Cancun has resorts that face the Caribbean Sea and some that face the inside of the 7, which is their lagoon. So if you're looking at a resort and it's in Cancun and it says it has a lagoon view, it's looking at the inside of the 7, or it's looking from the land mass that juts out into the sea back towards the mainland, and in between there is the lagoon area. So Cancun has everything. I'm going to repeat that. It's hard for people to believe it. Cancun has everything. If you want a small hotel that will treat you fabulous, 5 stars with a great beach, and you don't want to be bothered, Cancun has that. Do you want a large resort with lots of activity, people all over and pulsing music and nightclubs and all of that? Cancun has that too. Don't shy away from Cancun because you think of it just as spring breakers. Spring breakers are drawn to lesser expensive properties because that's really what fits in their budget, very typically. Not for all, but I'm just going to say that's typical. So the resort that you choose if you're going to be in Cancun during spring break time is an important choice because it may or may not deliver spring breakers. The resorts that we actually chat about here at Enchanted Getaways, we're not talking about spring break resorts, but some of our clients will say, no, I can't go there. I don't want the spring breakers. But there is the opportunity to definitely choose great resorts in Cancun that are not spring break friendly and that you will not find the spring breakers at. So the next thing I want to actually do is point out Cancun and all of the area that is south of it into the Playa del Carmen area and then farther down. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about here is where Cancun is in relation to the airport. It's very close to the airport. So if you choose a resort in Cancun, you're maybe 15 minutes from the airport depending on traffic, and you can see where the star is here, how the shape of the 7 is that I chatted with you about, in that little tiny body of water right here. This is your lagoon and this is your 7. So Cancun is in the shape of a 7. So Cancun to the airport, depending on where you are on that 7, and depending on the time of day you come in, because it is a city, remember, and because it is a city, you're going to have traffic. That's just the way it is. So depending on the traffic and the location that you are, that probably dictates more than anything the amount of time that it will take you. But Cancun is a great option for any type of resort that you happen to be looking for. Now we're going to go down the coast just a bit to Playa del Carmen. Playa del Carmen is a small city. It sits right on the water. It's cobblestone streets. It's Fifth Avenue is actually that particular street. When you walk down Fifth Avenue in the day, there's shopping, there's restaurants, there's people, great people watching. Wonderful. There's resorts right in Playa del Carmen that are adult only and that are family friendly. So you're right in Playa del Carmen in the day, and in the evening, when you go into Playa del Carmen in the evening, get ready to be blown away by its charm. The city itself, or the little town, is actually lit up on Fifth Avenue by all of these wonderful little twinkling Christmas lights. The shops are open, the restaurants are open, people watching is right there, and the ocean, the Caribbean Sea, is right next to you. It's there, so you can look and watch all the people watching all of the shopping that you would like to do, and the ocean is right there. Pick up a quick, wonderful little icy, find a park bench, and sit and look at the ocean. And when you do it in the evening and the lights are twinkling, talk about romantic. It is beyond romantic as far as I'm concerned. And then, when you're in Playa del Carmen, you can look straight out and you actually can see the island of Cozumel. It looks as if it's actually floating on top of the water when you're in Playa del Carmen and you're looking out. In the evening, you can see all of the lights of Cozumel. It almost looks like it's sitting right on top of the sea. The thing about Cozumel is it's actually a mushroom-shaped island. So if you think of it as coming up, the mushroom sits on top, and that's the part where you're going to see the buildings and the lights from the Playa del Carmen area. So Cozumel, if you keep that in mind, that means two things about Cozumel. It means it's probably got fabulous snorkeling and fabulous diving, which it does, because all of that, the creatures of the sea, where do they like to hang out? They like to hang out underneath things. And if you again think of Cozumel as a mushroom-shaped island that comes up and it kind of cantilevers over the stem of the mushroom, that's where all your sea life likes to hang out. So that island is fabulous, absolutely fabulous for your snorkelers and for your scuba divers. Thing about Cancun is it's very small. You can almost throw a rock from one side of it to the other. So what there is to do on Cancun or on Cozumel is going to be fairly limited. The beaches, be very careful about the beach. We always talk about the beaches. Many of the resorts don't have a beach because, again, it's mushroom shaped. There is no actual beach there. Maybe the resort has built it up and has a man-made beach. It doesn't even meet the sea, but you have ocean. You can put your chair down, you can sit, and the water is right there, but the water is beyond a barrier or on the opposite side of a barrier. So those are the two things about Cozumel that I think are very, very important. The city itself, though, you can take a ferry from Playa del Carmen across to Cozumel, which is a great thing to do, or vice versa, depending if you're staying on Cozumel. Take a ferry over to Playa del Carmen for the evening, or if you're staying on the mainland side, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, it doesn't matter. You can always jump on a ferry and go across to Cozumel, which is great. You can get the flavor of both worlds by just taking a ferry. The ferry is very inexpensive, and maybe it's a half hour on really choppy days. If you happen to get seasick easily, maybe don't jump on that ferry, but maybe do otherwise. They always have people who are singing on the ferry as you cross, and those people always have their little tip jar out there. So there's entertainment, and if you feel so inclined, you can put a little tip in the jar for them. So now we're going to go down the coast, just a little bit farther down, Tulum. Tulum is, I'm going to say, 2 hours from Cancun. But don't be thinking 2 hours on a road that's barely 2 cars and it's going to be windy and twisty and it's dirt and all of that. No, absolutely not. The thing about this whole area is very, very well developed. When you're traveling, for instance, from Cancun just to Playa del Carmen, they have overpasses. It's a 4-lane highway with overpasses. You don't even have to stop at the street lights anymore. So your transfer from Cancun into the Tulum area is lengthy, but very easy. It's like taking a 2-hour drive on any road here in the United States. So it's lengthy, but it's easy to do. I will always recommend, though, that I recommend to our clients at least, that you do take a nonstop transfer or a private transfer. Private transfer from the airport to Tulum is wonderful. You have your own driver. It's just the two of you in the driver's vehicle, if there are 2 of you within your group or however many you have, and the driver will stop. They'll pick up some water if you want, or typically they have water in the vehicle for you as well. So when you get down to the Tulum area, the thing about Tulum is that's where there are so many, many wonderful archaeological things to do from the Aztecs and or the Mayans in this particular area. Lots and lots of things to do. There's a spring equinox and a fall equinox. And I'm only going to tell you that it's somewhere in this area between Playa del Carmen and Tulum because it's kind of on my bucket list, so I'm just going to toss it in here. It's a wonderful pyramid, and spring equinox, the snake, I believe, the sun begins to set and rise, and a snake goes either, the shadow of a snake goes up or down the side of the pyramid that's there. So it's a wonderful thing. If you want to Google it, I'm sure if you Googled spring equinox south of Cancun in the Tulum area, it would pop up, and maybe you, like myself, can put that on your bucket list, and maybe when you're there you can cross it off. I've been going to do it for several years and haven't gotten around to it, but it's just one of those unique things that you can do in the Tulum area. There's so many wonderful things to do, and there are great resorts down here. Family friendly, adult only, all inclusive. So this entire area that I'm talking about, your Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Cozumel, Tulum, all wonderful things to do, all with a perfect resort that might be just speaking to the two of you. So the next thing I want to do is head on over to the Caribbean. Oh my gosh, look at this. So many gosh darn islands, and this isn't even all of the islands. The point about the islands and where the islands become important, or why the choice of island becomes important, has a lot to do, I mean, I'm sure you're probably guessing this right now, is how far it is, for instance, from the United States. The first island that I'm actually going to talk about here is the Bahamas. You can fly into, typically people are flying into Nassau or maybe Great Exuma or maybe Freeport, something like that. So the thing about the Bahamas is it's very, very easy to get to. When you actually are leaving the Bahamas, coming back to the United States, you are able to do your customs right there. So what that means is you get to the airport, you do U.S. customs while you are on the shores of the Bahamas. So when you hit the United States, you don't, no customs, no nothing. You just jump off that plane, head to your next connection and go home, or get off the plane and maybe you're home wherever that plane is going to. So the Bahamas has so many things that I'm going to talk about now, but it also has that one really cool thing that you do U.S. customs there, and it's a fairly short flight. So for a quick person or a person who doesn't have a ton of time to honeymoon, it's a great opportunity. They also have full gambling here. Maybe you're looking for gambling, and if you're looking for gambling, the Bahamas could potentially be a really good opportunity for you. They have a plethora of resorts here, from 2 different sandals to the reuse and everything in between. So the Bahamas are a great choice because of the location, how quick it is, and the fact that you're actually going to do your immigration while you're, or U.S. Customs while you're in the Bahamas. So the next place I want to move on to is the Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos are very much like Los Cabos. They are outside of the hurricane belt. Hey, that's a really big plus if you're traveling in September or October and you just really want to be somewhere where you know it's going to be dry. It's a very arid island, just like Los Cabos is. The color of the water in the Turks and the Caicos is just, I don't know, it's incredible. There is something about the color there, and I don't know how it quite does it, but the Turks and the Caicos, very, very, very beautiful water. It's very dry, so again, your humidity that you might find in other parts of the Caribbean and you're not going to find here, and it is on the outside of the hurricane belt. It's got wonderful opportunities for apartment rental that would give you a full kitchen and bedrooms and all of the things that go along with an apartment or a condo. It also has wonderful all-inclusives. It's got the Beaches Turks and Caicos property, which has Key West Village, which has all of the different apartments style on it, and then it also has your basic deluxe room category. So Turks is a wonderful opportunity for those couple of reasons. Now the next thing I want to do is over to Jamaica. Jamaica, a little bit farther from the mainland, but because it is a very big tourist drawing island, there are many, many direct flights that come out of the United States here. New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Dallas. I mean, you name it, you can pretty much get to Jamaica fairly easily. You do fly into the Montego Bay area or into that airport, and then from there, or typically you're going to fly into Montego Bay because most people do vacation on the north side of the island. Thing about Jamaica is, it has so much, but in choosing the resort, you want to really know the part of the island that you are actually choosing. Montego Bay, busy, it's got tons of things to do, close to the airport. It's wonderful if you just have 3 or 4 or 5 nights and you don't want to spend any travel time. You just bang want to be to the resort, enjoy yourself, and then get to the airport and come home. And Montego Bay has everything. It's got tons of different resorts. So from Montego Bay, you can head to Ocho Rios. Ocho Rios actually is situated right in the middle as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm only going to say the middle. It's not actually the middle, but the Blue Mountains. If you think how I was chatting about Puerto Vallarta, and it has the Sierra Madre Mountains behind it, that is exactly what Ocho Rios is. Only this particular part of Jamaica has got the Blue Mountains behind it. So you have the beautiful mountains behind you with all of their lush greenery. And these mountains spill into the ocean in the Ocho Rios area. What that means for Ocho Rios is the beaches are not long and wide. They're more scalloped and short. Beautiful, white, turquoise water. But if you are an absolute beach walker and you want to walk for 3 or 4 miles on a beach, maybe Ocho Rios is not perfect, or every resort is not perfect. So you want to keep that in mind when we're talking about Ocho Rios versus Montego Bay. And then the next area that I'll go to in Jamaica is actually Negril. Negril is known for 7 Mile Beach. So if you are a beach walker and you need that 7 miles of beach to walk, Negril, Jamaica, of all the places in Jamaica, are what you want to think about. Wide, beautiful beaches that you can walk and you can look at the sunsets. It's absolutely wonderful. So Jamaica has these wonderful opportunities for such one island with so many different opportunities for what you may or may not be looking for. Long beach, short beach, busy, not busy. Sandals also has a resort, and it's called White House, which is on the southern, it's more like right over here versus Montego Bay here. White House is all by itself. There is nothing out there. Fabulous resort. Beautiful beaches to walk. Now the thing about that resort is you have to drive through the mountains to get there, which is wonderful and it's beautiful. I believe if a couple is told that ahead of time. Because if you're told that ahead of time and you are someone who gets car sick, hey, you're either going to take maybe Dramamine to help you through the winding mountain roads, or maybe you'll choose something different. But the thing about choosing, for instance, White House is, you get a free tour of the island. And it is the full island. You get to see the mountains as you come across the mountains and you hit the area over here, which is where White House is. Your transfer follows the Caribbean Sea. You see all those little coves. You can see the crashing water as it hits those rocks and it splashes up and it's beautiful white and it's foamy. You get to see it. You get to see beautiful stretches of beach. And then all of a sudden, you're there. You're at Sandals White House to this fabulous beach that's just you and yours because there's hardly anything else out there. But you have to get there. So that's what I'm always talking about when I talk about the qualifying items for different resorts or different destinations. So let's head now to the Dominican Republic. More often than not, we are always selling the Punta Cana area, the La Romana area, which is right here. This is what we're at, or I'm sorry, right here. This is what we're talking about. Oh my gosh, the Punta Cana area, the La Romana area has some of the most incredible beaches that I have ever seen. I love beaches. I just think they're great, but the thing about the beaches in this area of the world, they are long, they are wide, and they are palm studded, just about anyone you go to. So it's not just a beach, but it's a beach that has these wonderful little areas that you can sit under the shade of a beautiful palm tree with that incredible turquoise water just sparkling in the sunlight ahead of you. It has mountains. So if you want to go into the interior of the country and enjoy some of the mountains, you very well can. It's got great flights in and out of the United States here as well, right into the La Romana and into Punta Cana. It's got resorts from your incredibly beautiful high-end resorts, like your Secret Sanctuary at Sanctuary Cap Cana, your Zoetries, your Secret Resorts, your Barcelos, your Rius, everything is here. And every single one of them has maybe something a little different about them or a little different about the beach. So the choice when you're in this area for resorts is great, and hopefully you can be having those conversations about what is most important to the two of you and working together to put that with the destination and with the resort within the destination. So that is my Dominican Republic. Now we're going to go over to Puerto Rico, San Juan, which is a U.S. territory, which means you do not need a passport. That's wonderful. It's awesome for someone who, for some reason or another, does not want to leave the United States, or for some reason or another cannot leave the United States. San Juan, wonderful opportunity. They don't have as many all-inclusives there, but the island itself, again, so many different things to do when you're on the island. Fairly easy to get to out of most cities. A lot of cruise ships doing the Southern Caribbean actually sail out of San Juan. So that gives you an idea of how busy their weekends are. They have a lot of people coming and going, getting off and on the ships. When you think about the choice to travel to a destination for one simple reason, maybe it is, hey, I don't have a passport, and I unfortunately don't want to spend, maybe it's $150 to get a U.S. passport, but I don't want to spend that money. I'd rather spend my money on my trip. Think about it this way. The cost of that passport is good for 10 years, and if you choose to get a passport, it opens up all of Mexico and it opens up all of the Caribbean. So it opens up so many more destinations that you can go to that is going to then turn around and give you a lot more choices as far as pricing and value goes. So San Juan is wonderful, but don't just put that as the only island in your portfolio because it doesn't require a U.S. passport. Think of that as being a little bit more limited on your end. All the world opens up if you get a passport. It does have a little bit of money up front, but it can really give you great value in the end. So now where shall we go? We're going to go over to Antigua. Antigua is a smaller island. Typically, if you're going to go into Antigua, you see we're getting farther away from the mainland. You would start at your main city in the United States. If you're anywhere, like if I'm in Minneapolis, typically if I'm going to go to Antigua, I have to fly to Miami, and then I will take a flight out of Miami to get me to the southern part of the Caribbean, which would be Antigua here. Unfortunately, what that means, usually, not always, is that I might have to overnight somewhere before I actually get to the island. But on Antigua, you have, there's a wonderful Sandals resort, and the thing about Antigua, they always say it has 365 beaches. A different beach for every single day of the year. So you'd have quite a lot of beach combing to do if you chose that island. The next place I'd like to go to is St. Lucia. Now look, see, we're even getting farther down into the Caribbean. So your travel time as we go farther down is going to be greater, which might indicate that you are going to have to stay overnight somewhere in the United States, maybe Miami, maybe Atlanta, maybe JFK, New Yorkish, and maybe Chicago, because they might have flights depending on the time of year. It is a beautiful island. It's lush, it's tropical, it has several Sandals resort, it has Jade Mountain, it has Ashante, it's got every type of resort you're looking for in every price range, right on up to your Jade Mountains, which are absolutely a beautiful resort built right into the mountain side, and you have no walls on your room. So St. Lucia offers so much. It might be a little bit tight for someone who has only a 5-night stay. So those are things that we try to talk about again when we're choosing different islands and the length of stay a person might have and where they're flying from out of the United States. Next island, Barbados. Again, we're getting farther down. Barbados is just opening up a little bit more and more because of the New Sandals resort that's that has opened in Barbados. So keep in mind its location, much like St. Lucia. If you're in the southern part of the states, let's see, that would be the southeastern part of the states, it's not as bad for us people who are up in the Midwest or maybe over in the western part of the United States. So it's a little harder for us to get down there in a timely manner. Next one is Grenada, however a person wants to pronounce that. And again, there's a brand new Sandals that has opened there. So the island, it's opening up. It's got a lot of things to do, and it has certainly a very top-end resort that has those wonderful soaking tubs that you can sit in and look out at the sea. But again, maybe a bit of a challenge to get down there. Next one, Aruba. The thing about Aruba is it sits obviously right off the coast of South America, but it's way outside of the hurricane belt, much like Turks and Caicos, much like Los Cabos. It's arid, it's dry, so you don't have the humidity and you won't have the rainfall. It also offers you to be able to do customs while you're actually on the island of Aruba before you come home. So you're going to do U.S. customs. So when you get home, you can move a little bit faster. Great beaches. It's got gambling as well. Many, many different resorts to choose from. So that's my quickie overview of the Caribbean. Not to say that any one of these other islands that are on this map, or ones I haven't even said, are not fabulous and great. And there aren't millions of them. There are. It's really a great opportunity. I just wanted to give you an idea of how big the Caribbean is and what the opportunity is there for choices. Be they an arid island, a tropical island, a mountainous island, an island with gambling, whatever it is you might be looking for. I can almost pretty much say with certainty we could probably find it here in the Caribbean for you. Now we're going to jump all the way back over into the Pacific just really quickly to give you an idea about Hawaii and the things that why you might choose Hawaii. Now it does, of course, have a longer flying distance, but unless you're on the West Coast, if you're on the West Coast, hey, Caribbean might be quite a jaunt for you, but Hawaii is not such a bad deal. Most guests fly into Oahu. They're going to do World War II. They're going to do the Arizona and the Missouri, the bookends of World War II. They're going to be able to take in all of that history if they choose to. They can go to the North Coast and just be away from it all. So Oahu has a little bit of everything on it. And the thing about the islands, they're very close. You can take a quick, easy island hopper to get from one island to the next. Kauai, very, very quiet, very laid back. Some couples choose to start their trip in Oahu. Be busy. I'm going to get some things done. And then I am going to go out after a couple of days. I'm going to jump on a island hopper and I'm going to head to Kauai, or maybe they might go over to the big island of Hawaii and do the Hawaii the volcanoes that are there. They might choose to do that. Lots and lots of opportunity. Or they might choose to go to Maui, which is all about romance in a lot of people's minds. They have the road to Hana. They have lots and lots of different things that you can do on Maui. So Hawaii is one of those destinations. It might take a bit to get to if you're not on the West Coast, but you can start your trip and be very, very busy. And you can end it being very, very quiet and fly home. So it's kind of two destinations in one if you're choosing to do something like that. And the thing about Hawaii is when we were there, I hadn't been there, and where do we want to go eat? And I have no idea. And your Yelp app works here. And tons of restaurants have Yelp. So if you're looking for udon noodles and you're in Honolulu, pull it up, and I'm going to say it's going to pull up this great place that I went to because it always pops up every time I go there now. Great place to find a good place to eat that's local, that you can walk to, because of course you can put in all the criteria. Another thing about traveling to Hawaii, they have Costco on the islands. You can fly in, you can do your shopping, you can rent yourself a 1 or a 2 bedroom condo, stock the refrigerator with all the things that you might really choose to enjoy, so you can have that quickie cup of coffee, and then in the morning you can crack open that pineapple that you bought from the Dole Pineapple Plantation maybe, and then you can head out for the day. So you are in the United States there. It has all the things that we're used to doing. Driving is not difficult at all. Again, this is a place where all that sea life is going south to north or north to south. So sea turtles, whale watching, porpoises, dolphins, all of those great things you're going to find on the islands here. And the last thing that I'll talk about is Germany. Well, I did love Germany, is actually Europe. I'm not going to go a ton into Europe. Tours, you can do escorted tours where they're going to take you totally around. It's a no-brainer vacation. Not a bad way to do Europe if it's your first time around. River cruising, that's how I've done Europe. I've done Nuremberg to Vienna. The ship had 50 cabins. You're just sailing down the rivers. You're looking at the wine country. The ship pulls right into the little towns, and you're met by the cobblestone street. Off of the ship onto the cobblestone street, and you walk directly into these beautiful medieval cities. It's a wonderful way to see Europe, and a great way not to have to pack and unpack between these cities. They also have deep water ocean cruises that go through the Mediterranean and up through the North Sea. You can do it independent, which would mean we could put your hotels together for you. We can do your rail passes. We can put all of that together, as much or as little as you may or may not want. And we can just do your rail passes for you as well. So that's all about Europe. So now let's just actually flip on to the kind of the fun part, or what I really think is fun when I'm talking to, oops, wait, I went the wrong way. We can't go back to Hawaii. We got to go, oh, here we go. Narrowing down the destinations. How do we actually take the destinations that we've just talked about and narrow them down so that they make a little bit more sense for the two of you as you plan this wonderful trip? So we're going to talk about like the activity level. How active do you want to be? Now you can think about all the destinations that we've talked about. Some of them have tons of things to do. Puerto Vallarta, you can be busy as heck, remember? Cancun, busy, busy. Turks and Caicos, not so much, kind of laid back. Great Exuma, again, not so much laid back. So that's what I'm talking about for the activity level for each of the destinations that we've kind of gone over. What is the activity level you are looking for in the destination of your choice? Then we're going to move to the length of stay. If you're in the West, California, Washington, Nevada, those areas, and if you're thinking of Aruba, for instance, or you're thinking of the Turks or Barbados, Grenada, even maybe San Juan, as you look at the distance and the time that is going to take you to get from the West Coast to those destinations, if you maybe only have 5 nights, length of stay here is probably going to give you a little bit of a, hey, maybe not the best choice, because it's going to take us a long time to fly there, and we're only going to have X number of days on the ground. So that's where you're going to think about the length of your stay. The climate and the scenery, of course, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. What is it that you're looking for? If you're someone who really and truly loves the humidity, I love the humidity actually, because it makes me relax. But if you love the humidity and you love the heat, hey, then Jamaica in July, which is my anniversary, perfect. Hotter than heck and very, very, very humid, but not a big deal because I really just want to lay under a palapa or a palm tree. I want to float a little bit in the water, and I want to relax. So your Jamaica, your Cancun, your Puerto Vallarta, all of those destinations do have a lot of heat and a lot of humidity in the summer, so they're going to play perfectly into what I might be looking for. I also might look for air-conditioned restaurants. So another thing to play into, climate and scenery. Maybe if it's hot and humid, are the restaurants going to be that air-conditioned environment that I'm looking for? If I really absolutely need not a lot of humidity, but I love the heat, oh gosh, then think about how wonderful Los Cabos is going to be in the summer. It's going to be hotter than heck, but you won't have the humidity. So that's where you're talking about the climate and the scenery. And do I like the opportunity to have lots of lush vegetation everywhere on the island or everywhere within the destination? Or do I, if I'm a golfer, is it okay if I golf somewhere and basically the island is maybe a little bit more desert and scrubby? Those are the things you're thinking of. Budget. Your whole budget comes into play again with all of the items that you're talking about. Typically, not necessarily, but if you have to fly farther, maybe your airline ticket is a little bit more money. That may or may not come into play there. Am I going to choose a 5-star? Am I going to choose a resort that has a lot of activities on it that are included, or one that doesn't have a lot, but I'm going to go off and do activities which will cost money, which are going to be items that definitely impact your budget? That's what you're thinking about when you're talking budget. And then, of course, the resort chain. There's tons and tons of resort chains. So I'm going to just mosey on to the next slide, which really is a bit about resort chains. And again, as I do my presentations, that will kind of, what would I say, tag on to or follow this one. We'll go a little bit more into detail on each one of these items. This is that quick overview to give you some ideas to start your thought process. So these are some of the resort chains that really speak romance. Your Azul resorts, they are family resorts that are very romantic. Great for those destination weddings. 24-hour room service, right on the Caribbean Sea. Got one in Jamaica, and you have one or a couple south of Cancun. Your couples resorts, those are adult only. They market themselves or are very attractive to couples and singles. So it's not, doesn't necessarily speak romance, but it sort of kind of does speak romance. But because you do have adults, maybe not totally. El Dorado, adults only. South of Cancun, 24-hour room service, top shelf liquor, right on the water. Great choice. As is or are the Excellence resorts. You're going to find those guys in the Dominican as well as in the Cancun and south of Cancun area. Hard Rock, oh my gosh, moving and shaking. Everything you want, exactly what Hard Rock says, that's what their resorts are. Palace resorts, again, very much like the Hard Rock, but the laid-back version of them. Both the Hard Rock and the Palace come with resort credits that you can use. Some of the resort credits on the property and some off the property. Royal resorts, south of Cancun is the Royal, that's in Playa del Carmen. Her sister property up in Cancun was called the Royal in Cancun. Now has a new name, that's the Hyatt Zilara. Same branding. Same company, actually. They're just owned by a different management company. Sandals resorts, and most of us know a lot about sandals. Some of us know tons about sandals. Throughout the Caribbean, adult only. Everything is included, right down to your tipping. So very, very different than the others because they do include that tipping. They do include scuba dives. If you're certified and you want a scuba, sandals makes total sense because that is an incredibly expensive property or incredibly expensive sport, your scuba diving. And then I have Secrets, but Secrets is actually part of the whole next line down below, which is your AM resorts, Zoetry, Secrets, Breathless, Dreams. And now these guys have all different brands with all different levels. So great, great choices at them. Most of them have that 24-hour room service. top shelf liquor, all of the wonderful things that are throughout the Caribbean, and they're throughout Mexico as well. So when you're interested and you're like, gosh, how do I choose one of these resorts? The thing about resorts is a picture says 1,000 words, right? So when it comes to resorts, I can type as much as I want, and I can really talk as much as I want as well. But we have a great collection of photos from the different resorts that I have visited in my trips. From our website, enchantedgetaways.com, there is a link that goes straight away to RPT, which stands for Resort Photo Tour. So you could just go to enchantedgetaways.com/resort RPT, and you can do Control F for find and maybe type in Barcelo, and it'll bring up the Barcelos. Or you can look at the whole list, and when you click on them, you'll be able to see photos of the different resorts. Now, the thing about the photos is it's going to help you to get the feeling, the actual feeling that maybe the lobby gives you. Is it old world Mexico, or is it clean, crisp, contemporary lines, or is it all about the Caribbean type colors? That's what Resort Photo Tour is going to tell you. It's going to give you a peek at the beach as well. One thing about the beach, always remember, beaches are at the mercy of Mother Nature. I'm going to say that again. The condition of the beach is at the mercy of Mother Nature. The resort is not in control of it. No one is. What Mother Nature does, she does. So keep that in mind when you are looking at photos, and keep that in mind when people talk about the beach. It might be a variable within the actual trip that you take. So do visit this and do look at the photos and see if one group of resorts really speaks to the two of you. So let's talk about adult only versus family friendly. First one that I want to actually talk about here are the adult only. What are the age of our adults on the property? For instance, some properties consider 16-year-olds adults. Maybe if you're newly married and you're not 16 years old, that might not be the perfect matchup for you when you're thinking adults only. So we always take into consideration and have a conversation if it's an adult only property that typically is allowing teenagers in and considering them adults if we feel that the couple may not exactly have the exact same view as the resort does. And then we can talk about family friendly with adult only spaces. For instance, there is the Dreams Puerto Aventuras, which is south of Cancun, right in the Puerto Aventuras area. That particular property is family friendly, but it has an adult only pool, bar, and a dining area. So I can still get my adult only experience in my adult only area, but have the opportunity to be within a family friendly resort. So oftentimes we can find resorts that meld the two together just by allowing and having space for the adults to just be with other adults. The last adult only versus family friendly is the sister property and complexes. For instance, Beaches and Sandals. Beaches is family friendly, Sandals adult only. So the wedding can be at the Sandals property. Guests with children can stay at the Beaches, and they can come to the Sandals resort for the wedding. The children can come, so that's an important feature. And also there's complexes. Maybe the Iberostar, for instance, south of Cancun, the Grand Iberostar is adults only. It's in a large complex. It has other Iberostar resorts that just come right next to each other. You can have your adult-only experience. You can visit all of your guests that are staying in the family-friendly properties, but they can't come and visit you. So you really get your adult-only experience, and you have options to offer your guests who do maybe have families who want to come to the wedding. The next thing, the all-inclusive resorts. What does all-inclusive actually mean? What do you get for that? The basics, of course, you're going to get your taxes, your transfers, the resort transfers, that, and that means it's going to take you from the airport to the hotel and back again. Do not take that for granted. We will always include that. We'll always talk about it, but that's an important piece to think about. You get your accommodations, your drinks, your meals. non-motorized water sports, fitness center, and on-site activities. The difference is in the quality of those inclusions. Is it top shelf liquor, or is it just a national liquor or rail liquor, I believe? What type of liquor are we talking about? Is it all buffets, or is it buffet and a la carte, or is it all a la carte restaurants? Very different in your dining experience. Gratuities, do they include it or not? Room service, is it complimentary, or is it for a fee? Is it 24 hours? Is it during limited time? And then the last thing is the destination wedding and honeymoon couple inclusions. And those do differ just totally from one to the next. So that's a conversation that we have with our couples to really lay those two things out. I want to talk now about narrowing down your choices. We do have a workbook that we would be more than happy to send your way. You can email us at info@enchantedgetaways.com and ask us for the workbook, which is the sheet you're seeing on here. Narrowing down your choices is really about looking at the list of all the things people think of when you think of going on your honeymoon or having that destination wedding. 24-hour room service, 4 hours more or less on my flight time, adult only, a casita suite, maybe an ocean view, maybe an ocean front. Is it secluded? Does it have to have shopping? That's all of the stuff that's at the top of the sheet. That's all of these things. And really, what we have you do is circle your wants. These are the things that you want. I want this on my vacation. Then we have you take everything you've done up here and put it into one of these categories. 5-star means you are not, if you put it in the 5-star category, that's a must, and you have got no room for negotiation. 4-star, you want it, but you're flexible. 3 stars, you'd like it, but hey, you know what? If I can't get it, it's perfectly fine. So you put those things in those categories, and then your next step is carry from here down to here. Rate your most important is number 1 and rank them lower, and the same here and the same here. And what that does is that's your worksheet. That helps you to narrow down the choice. Now you know what are the most important things to you, and you're saying these are most important because guess what? I am informed. I'm informed about the things that may or may not be important to me, myself, and my significant other. Now we'll pop over here and we're going to talk quickly about ways to save. Your destination, for instance. If you're looking at a destination that has a higher airfare, maybe you have to do a little bit of compromise in the destination. The room category. Maybe it's about, I want a butler, but a butler for 7 days is pretty darn expensive. So let's talk first about the destination. Ways to save. If the destination has a higher airfare, you can change that airfare out. Maybe by choosing a different destination with a better airfare. Room category. When you look at your room category, you would really like a butler. That's so important. A butler for 7 nights is more than my budget can handle, maybe. So how can I find some compromise there? Maybe do the butler for 3 nights and an ocean view room for 2 nights or for 4 nights, whatever. But pull your butler into your vacation at some point, but maybe not for the full stay, which means you're going to have to change rooms midstream of your trip. One thing that you want to remember, in my opinion here, is do not put the butler room category on the first couple of days of your trip and then go to a less nicer room. Don't do that because you will be very unhappy. Stay at the lesser expensive room for the first part of your trip and then put the butler on in the end. That will be a happy surprise and a great ending as well. Travel dates. If you have to travel around major holidays, you're going to spend more money. Think about the times when there's holidays or when kids are getting in or out of school. When kids are out of school, when they're on vacation, rates are typically higher. So if you can stay away from those dates, that will save you some money. How about new resorts? New resorts don't have a following. They have no one to come back year after year because they're brand new. So what that means is potentially a new resort might offer great introductory rates. The things you want to consider if it is a brand new resort built from the ground up, maybe the vegetation is not going to be mature. The staff might be not totally trained if you go within the first couple of weeks. Bear that in mind, but that can also be the opportunity to save some money. We have a registry, a honeymoon registry, so your wedding guests can give you cash in a way that then you can turn around and use it to pay for your honeymoon. So that's another way to do it. Great ways to save. Of course, it's compromise. You don't have to compromise for something less. What you're compromising to is to work within your budget, and that is very, very important. Our job is to help you to do that compromise so you know exactly why you did what you did, and you are getting the best experience, absolutely the best experience that works for the two of you and maintains your budget, and you come home and you are just excited about the trip that you just took. That's maybe what a good compromise works out to be. How does our payment plan work? Typically, it's just a deposit. How much is the deposit? The deposit actually depends on the type of airfare that we book for you. It might depend on if you have insurance on the booking, but typically it's going to run between maybe $150 and $400 a person. You can make payments between the deposit time and when your final payment is due. That's totally up to you. Like I said, you can make payments. You don't have to, but that's totally an option for you to do. And the final payment is typically due 45 to 60 days prior to travel. So it's very, very flexible as far as your payments are concerned, with a minimal down payment and then final payment due depending on the tour operator. And did you know our services are complimentary? Which, gosh, that sounds like I work for free, doesn't it? But in actuality, we are compensated by our tour operators. Whether we work with FunJet Vacations, Delta Vacations, Apple, Classic, it doesn't matter. So does that mean that Bonnie Lee and her staff are married to a tour operator or a hotel chain? Is that what that means? And does it mean that for our clients, they are not going to get the best choices because of that? Absolutely not. All of our tour operators carry a plethora of brands. Brands I wouldn't even sell because maybe they aren't to the standard I would believe, and wonderful brands that we highly recommend. So because we work with so many, we have so much to offer to you. That's the important part. So our services are complimentary, but that is because we are actually compensated by the vendor on the backside. So that takes care of that. Now, don't forget this. You're going to need that passport. We're going to ask you how your name is going to read on the passport. If you're getting married on July 26th and you're leaving on July 27th, my guess is that passport is going to read a maiden name if you're not going to choose. If you're choosing to change your name after the fact, we would be doing the ticket in your maiden name. So we're going to have that really good conversation with you. If the resort that you're going to be staying at has a honeymoon package, we're going to tell you exactly what you need to bring with you to have the honeymoon inclusions given to you. Typically, it's like your marriage license or maybe an invitation to your wedding. What do you do with a wedding dress? How do you bring your wedding dress? You keep it with you at all times when you're flying if you're having a destination wedding. Money for tips, I always bring 5s and 1s because I want to know how much money I'm giving someone. I don't always know what a peso is or a lira or a this or a that. I don't know those things, but I do know what a buck is worth. And if I tip a buck, people are usually happy to have American money, and I'm happy because I know I'm tipping the amount that I truly would like to ticket. Airline seats, how do we choose them? Typically, the farther out you book, the better your choice of airline seats. If you are a frequent flyer with any airline, we will ask you that as well. Some frequent flyer programs do give their reward members better seating. Some frequent flyer members also get free baggage, or some of the carriers that we book allow for free baggage for the guests that we book. Another opportunity for free baggage is to really and truly look at maybe a credit card from an airline. I don't sell credit cards, but what I'm saying is if you get a certain carrier's credit card, maybe they will give you free bags. Doesn't mean you ever have to charge on it. Doesn't mean anything. You just have to have the card. When you get home, cancel it if you would like. But that's an opportunity to maybe check out. And if it's $25 per bag in each direction, and you each bring one bag, that's $100 that you're going to save. So maybe that's an opportunity to look. And book early. Booking early gives you those seats. It gives you best pricing. It gives you all of those items. And some of the things that we have for our brides and our grooms and our honeymoon couples, we have a wedding guest registration page. We've got a honeymoon registration gift. Our honeymoon gift registration, I said that wrong. We have custom luggage tags for our wedding couples. We have a wedding website. We have a save the date email that we'll put. And these are things that are just for our brides and our grooms that we put together for you. This is a quick look at our guest registration page. So for destination wedding couples, we give you a link. It's customized to you. It has your picture on the top, your wedding date up on the top, and then the resort you're staying at is featured. And your guests can fill this form out. Once they hit submit, it goes to the bride and the groom, and it also comes to us, and we take care of all the inquiries for you. We also have, this is our honeymoon registry, so this is going to work for anybody. Your guests can come on, for instance, and purchase a kayak in paradise package for you for $150. Does that mean you just got a kayak and paradise package? No, it really doesn't. It really means that you will be given the dollar. You're going to be given $150 that your guest put into this account. You're going to get the cash. You can spend the cash as you wish, but maybe when you come home, you should tell the person who gave it to you that you did enjoy that kayak, whether you did or didn't. But it's actually just a method for you to have your guests contribute to some fun things that you may or may not actually want to do on your trip, and to have the cash to do what you do want to do on your trip. We have a save the date email as well. So if you're a destination wedding couple, we will create the save the date email for you if you would like us to. These are just additional things that we do. So we have all of this put together for you. We gather the information and then we'll give you the link for it, and you'll be able to send it straight away out, and your guests can view all of the information for your upcoming destination wedding. And this is our wedding website that you can put together as a couple. It's really it's got a lot of pages on the left. You can see it. It's very easy. It's a drag and a drop system. So if you need / would like a destination wedding or a wedding web page for the two of you, this is another feature that we do offer to our guests. And here's a quick picture of what our luggage tags look like. So this is for, again, our destination wedding packages. Great luggage tags. It's kind of a nice memento for everybody to have who is going on the destination wedding with you. And just for you again, so these are the items that we have, and I just chatted about them. And the thing about destination weddings and honeymoons, there's so many fluffy things that we all can do to make it wonderful. That's so very true. But in the end, you want to know that everything that you need done has been done correctly. That's what's most important, and that is what we at Enchanted Getaways excel at, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So, who are we? Here we are. We have Anna, Bonnie, Bridget, Heidi, Kathy, Nikki, and about 5 other people that are on the backside helping us to get all of those I's dotted and those T's crossed. I am so happy that you took the time to meet with us, Enchanted Getaways, to maybe gather a little bit more information on how to plan your honeymoon or your destination wedding. And do look for more videos from us to kind of help you walk you through the destination process as far as choices go and the resort choices. But please feel free to give us a call. We would be more than happy to help you out.